WEFM, the fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Hey, Russia!
And good morning to everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Oh Lord, watch your face. You don't wake up.
Face crease up.
I need some ironing.
that ain't nothing. According to understand people, I don't reach try going in.
Nice word, Lyf.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
How you guys this morning?
Everything good.
Okay. So yesterday there was a lot of chaos on social media where an announcement was made, allegedly coming from, well, not allegedly, coming from the US State Department, where they say they canceled processing of immigrant visas. Now, I think this is where the confusion came in. It's not non-immigrant visas. It's immigrant visas they were speaking about. And like when I first read it, I also was misled into thinking they meant non-immigrant visas, which is basically non-immigrant, which is like business and tourist visas or whatever. That's not what they stopped. While they have made it extremely difficult for people in the OECS and probably some other areas of the world to get non-immigrant visas, they now have cancelled the processing of immigrant visas indefinitely. Now, I think this in itself is a more serious blow than cancelling the processing of non-immigrant visas. Because according to research, an immigrant visa means a green card. It could mean I didn't read through the entire memo, but an immigrant visa could mean a green card, a family-based visa, an employment-based visa, diversity visa, human-based visa, or whatever. So basically, that's a problem for families, for people who may want to bring over the spouse, the father, the mother, the children, or whatever. Like this is immigrant visas. This is what immigrant visas are about. So basically, we see and they say this is because a lot of these people come to the United States and make themselves public charges, which means that the public, like probably go on welfare or something, go on welfare or whatever, right? And it just goes back to what we were saying last week. People need to find alternative places to migrate to and visit and do the shopping and whatever. America, the United States of America, under this current administration, well, it was kind of started by Obama anyways, but a lot of things was started by Obama, but never went the extra mile that like what is happening now. So basically what they saying, boy, we don't want all your hey. You know what I mean? People need to like get that America dream out their head and find alternative places to visit. Now, we see countries with these kind of immigration policies actually encouraging family members to come over. Like if you're living in Canada, for instance, and you have a spouse in a different country, they actually encourage you to bring over your spouse, and the processing times for these type of applications is very, very small, right? Because they actually encourage it, right? They encourage families or whatever. But now we see the great United States of America kind of discouraging people from coming across. They said immigrant visas, right? So it possibly applies to all types of immigrant visa. But I was wondering if it also applies to the because I was researching here. I wonder if it applies to the visas that give preference to people with skills that are needed. I don't know if it applies to that one, right? Because they like to take the best of the best, right? So I was wondering if it applies to that. I didn't go through the entire memo to know what it says. But yeah, basically, if you have a spouse in there, if you have a mother, they father up there, and they basically say file for you, as we just say, right? That is on hold indefinitely until they look into their vetting processes or whatever. You know what I mean? And this whole listen, people not realizing that this whole thing is kind of like destabilizing the region, right? From down to Venezuela, from what they did in Venezuela, and as I was listening to a Trinidad podcast yesterday, where they're saying that after they got you in Venezuela, you never hear America talking about Trinidad anymore. They done with Trinidad now. Trinidad back on its own or whatever, and Trinidad. The boys were saying that it's evident that if the region is to make any effort to address the United States, Trinidad has to now come back to CARICOM, which is Trinidad. They throw a CARICOM basically and embrace the America, but embrace the USA. So now they're saying Trinidad might have to come back to CARICOM if they are to, because small countries have to be a collective in order to go and like debate or reason with the USA. So then basically what the podcast was always saying is that they individually attacking countries. So when you individually attack countries now, because of the dependency on the United States for trade or tourists or whatever, that these countries end up and just like single out themselves. So one might take a policy to say, okay, we are doing this, and another one say, nah boy, me agree, I have to do it because of the United States. So what they see is just like a attack. To me, it's a kind of attack on the region, and it's a setback for CSME, for CARICOM, for the whole unity of the region that we see the former Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves and other leaders like Mia Motley and Keith Rowley were pushing for. You know what I mean? It's just like breaking up the region, like setting us back really far, because now we have countries going and accept, say they sign documents to accept foreigners, as we were speaking about, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where they say they're going to accept third country people who can go back to the country and the United States does not want. I don't know if you all was listening to opposition leader Dr. Rav Gonsalves yesterday on Star Radio, where he said that is very, very, very weird, because the people they're throwing out, he said, which is a point that I was making yesterday. He said they say non-violent people, right? But it doesn't take a violent person to mash up a country, you know. You know what I mean? It takes people with skills like coercion, where I can lead people. I don't have to be the violent one, but I could get a gang with 5-6 people in there, and I could send them to do the most things because I have power of coercion. I'm a leader, right?
Could be white collar crimes as well too.
Exactly, that's what I said. It could be cybercrime, as I said. It just takes one cybercrime professionally operating on a very small group of people in the country to mash up a country. Cybercrime, and these cyber criminals usually have a network, right? I don't know if there's one in Germany that has a worldwide network that does cyber attacks, and they are so good at what they do. When they hit a company and they call for a ransom, the ransom is usually paid. It's not a situation. There's some kind of cat. I think their name has some cat in it. I can't remember what they're called. But spider, black spider or something like that. And they are very, 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 very dangerous cyber criminals. So it doesn't take a violent criminal to come to one of these countries and create havoc. You know, so there's a way. Like so many countries in the OECS have already said that they would take these people. And what the opposition leader was saying is that which we didn't know. This is the first time I was hearing it yesterday. Is that a little while before election they had sent him a memo asking him if he wanted to be a part of accepting these type of people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he said that he responded by telling them that the countries in the OECS taking these people does not really benefit the US as much, because how many of them can we take actually? They have so many of them, right? How many of them can we actually OECS take? He said if we take 10 each, let's say each country take 10 each, or each country takes an amount coming up to 100, right? That still can make a dent in what the amount of people the United States has to send home. So what he was saying, he think that okay, they approach us. So countries in the region say yes, we can take them. So then what it does is open the door for them to go to bigger countries in Latin America and South America to say, listen, look, the Caribbean taking people. Why you out here take some too? You know what I mean? And start to put that pressure on them to do that. Now, as I was saying before, a couple of years, about 20 some, if people think this thing with these deportees, right, is a joke, right? I can remember about 20 something years ago, a Vincentian deportee who had committed several crimes in Canada and went to prison and was deported, was sent to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? And he was in prison for a violent crime in Canada, right? But when he came to St. Vincent now, he wasn't himself violent, but what he had was the power of coercion, and he got a group of guys around him, right? And he basically wreaked havoc until majority of the guys that were around him are now dead and he's still alive. You know what I mean? So if people think, thinking that this talk about one person being able to wreak so much damage on a small island, they need to think again, because I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen several times where these guys come from overseas with their criminal mindset, not always violent, but able to do certain things, certain skill sets. You know what I mean? At one point, there were deportees from there was an influx of deportees into St. Vincent a couple of years ago for some reason, and then you saw an uprising car thefts, and you never heard about cars being stolen before. And some of these cars that were stolen were never found, which is really strange in a country like St. Vincent. One of the shells of one was found. A shell of one was found in the back of Gibson Corner there where they had the landslides. You know what I mean? So if people think, if people are thinking that it's not a problem, it's going to be a serious problem. And I think the USA is actively breaking up the unity in the region with all these things, because we see leaders going against leaders with it, as we see with Trinidad and CARICOM or whatever. You know what I mean? So
a point that I was making, because we touched on it in the first segment, but a point I was making as well is, that whole situation of remittances, because down here in SVG and within the region, many persons get remittances, and remittances does contribute to the economy of SVG as well. So if you're going to have that pause happening, then it means that we're not going to see as much coming back down to us here. But I think one of the other concerns that I have as well too is generally the US tends to set a precedence for certain things, right? And I'm curious about other countries who might be facing challenges of immigrants. Would they also look to put a pause on their own policy as it relates to immigrants, given that the US has set this precedent, has set this trend? What is it going to mean for persons who are seeking a better life and legitimately trying to seek a better life? So that's also another concern that is there for me as well.
Two things quickly. I don't think other countries is gonna follow that. I don't think other countries want to follow anything that Trump is doing right now. I think people rather keep away from Trump and disassociate themselves from Trump in relation to certain things. And in relation to remittances, we saw them already putting a serious pause on remittances where they were making it extremely difficult for immigrants to send home, for non-immigrants and immigrants in the United States to send home money. They had some restrictions at MoneyGram and the other one. What's the other one? Western Union. Yeah, they already put some restrictions that was stopping people from sending home these things.
I know that. I think that was being faced by, I think it's maybe Venezuela and Mexico. But did it also apply to us here in the English-speaking Caribbean?
Yeah, I think it had some effect on us because of the restrictions. You had to provide certain kind of documents before you could send off money or anything. I don't know if they stopped that by now because, So is a serious thing. We need to be very close attention to it, and we need to read carefully sometimes, because that visa thing was okay. It's 8 o'clock. I see you watching the clock. Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, we see them. To me, is an active destabilization of the region in relation to the unity of the region. Something that we were coming together good with, and it's just really strange. Somebody was checking the amount of time that Trump has in power still, and he still has 3 more years in power because he was he was sworn in. He was sworn in last year, January. So he still have 3 more years in power. So I don't know.
Well, then again, no, he can't run again. Although he is trying to find.
He can't run again.
Yeah, he can't run again, but he is trying to find a way to run again.
He was saying because he didn't do 2 consecutive. He could now do 2 consecutive. But that would be. I don't think the American people want him right now, much less to have him do another 4-year term. I think his popularity ratings has dropped because of what is going on in relation to ICE running amok in the country. You know what I mean? I don't think his popularity ratings out because people like, okay, as I said before, like a lot of my friends who are naturalized Americans had actually supported Trump and said their businesses were doing better under Trump. Their I forgot what you call it, that the pension and gratuity or whatever they said that actually grew under Trump. But now majority of them, 95% of them are now changing the tongue, right? And saying, boy, listen, this man is kind of like really strange. Like things happen is really strange. Things happening in America right now is really strange. And I think it's gonna even get worse with people now. Now that you're saying that you can't bring over the spouse. Because Americans like to go to other countries in Europe, in Asia, in the Caribbean. Sometimes they come on vacation, sometimes they visit, sometimes they meet people online and they get married or whatever, and they like that's something that has been being done in the USA for a very long time. People getting married to foreigners and bringing them over. Trump himself is married to basically a foreigner. You know what I mean? A lot of the one more thing, the ICE agent that killed the lady, he's married to a foreigner. Somebody that he brought over.
America is the land of immigrants from the very beginning, from the very beginning. So it's the irony of it all. So
So people find somewhere else for go.
And that is the moral of today's commentary. Right?
Yes. So
all right.
So you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. You too. All right. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, take care.
All righty.
All right.
And that was our commentary this morning with Lyf Compton. Time here in SVG, it is 8:02. And remember that in a few minutes, we bring to you this morning's Cop Chat. Our time check came through the compliment of New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a fact of life. Even though death is